So this is my fabric tenant, and in this tenant I have a workspace called my underscore workspace, and this workspace I have a lakehouse called lakehouse underscore one. And in this lakehouse there are a few sample tables, and under the files folder there are a few sample files. And as you can see, there are no folders present in the files folder. So we'll be creating folders under this files folder through two different methods. So one would be through the default method that will use the client secret credential class to generate the client credential object based on the values of the client ID, tenant ID, and client secret. And the second method will be a custom method where we'll use a custom class that inherits from the default client secret credential class and sends the bearer token instead of the client credential object. So let me give you a brief walkthrough of the code. So here we have declared a bunch of variables. So we have defined the client ID, the tenant ID, and client secret and set the values. And then we have the workspace and the lakehouse name. And then we have variables of the type data lake service client and data lake file system client. And we require these variables for generating the bearer token. So one thing that I like to highlight here is the scope. All right, so the scope is against the Azure Storage Service. So as we are interacting with the OneLake storage, which is an ADLS to storage under the hood, the authorization is for the Azure Storage Service with the default permission. All right, and this is the main method. And in this main method, there are calls to two different methods. One is the create directory with service method, and second is the create directory without secret method. All right, so in the create directory with secret method, we create an object of the type client secret credential. So basically, client secret credential class authenticates as a service principal using a client secret. All right, and the client secret credential class has a default constructor arguments, tenant ID, a client ID, and the client secret. And once these values are set for the credential object, so the credential object is then sent as a default constructor parameter to the data lake service client. So a data lake service client interacts with the data lake service at the account level and gets all the ACL, that is the access control list. So we have defined the OneLake storage point, and once authenticated, it will grant access to the OneLake storage based on the client credential object, which in our case is the credential variable. Okay, and then we have this data lake. Then the data lake service client creates a new file system based on the workspace that we have defined. Okay, and then through the data lake file system client, we can create directories and files in the workspace through different methods. So, for example, in our case, we are creating a directory with the create directory async method. So basically, it will create a directory through an asynchronous operation. So similarly, we can create files as well, asynchronously or synchronously, and we can even delete the objects in the given lakehouse. Right. So basically, this method would then create a folder under the lakehouse. So here we have the lakehouse variable, and it will create an folder under the lakehouse, which is lakehouse one, with the name folder underscore secret key under the files folder. Okay, and this is the second method. So in this method, we have a custom class. So yeah, so this method basically uses a custom class. Okay, so we have a custom class called access token credential that inherits from the client secret credential and generates a token of the type token credential. So this method uses that custom class that we had created and inherit, and we get the bearer token under the workspace through the get async method. Right, and once we have, and then we fetch the response name. I mean, we just don't require to. We are not using response name anywhere. So just to fetch uh, the token, the bearer token, we are calling this get async method, and then the access token is set in this method. I'll show that to you. So here is where the access token is set. Right, and this access token is set as a default constructor parameter to the access token credential class, which is our custom class. And the rest of the steps are the same as was the case with the create directory with secret method. So this method would basically create an sorry This, sorry, what happened here? Okay, sorry, I need to close. Okay. So this method would basically create an folder with the type with the name folder underscore without secret key. All right. So let's execute the code, and I'll just like show to you the different steps. Just before that, okay, just let me cancel. Let me first cancel. So first step that we'll do is that we'll create an folder with the name, a folder with the sorry. We'll create a folder with the name folder underscore with secret key. Since we are running under the debug mode, so the build would take some time. I started creating the folder with the name of folder underscore with secret key. Oh, we have an error here. User is not authorized to perform current operation for the workspace. Okay, user is not authorized. Okay, so I'm using the service principal. Oh, let me check if the service principal has access to the workspace. I guess that might be the problem. Let me do a quick check. To manage access. Oh, okay. Okay, apologies. So my service principal has no access to this workspace. Okay, I'll first let me add the service principal. So it was this, I think. Yeah, and then let's grant him the contributor access. So we and I'll okay, let's close this and we execute it. I think I need to log out and log in again to for the changes to take effect. I'm unsure of that. Yeah, I think I need to log out and log in again. Okay, I'll I'll just do a quick log out and log in. Dot .63. We'll say yes. Close this. Now go to our workspace. Okay, this is my workspace. And under this workspace, I need to go to the lakehouse underscore one. Okay, this is my lakehouse. Yeah, I think that should be the problem that the service principal has no access to this workspace. So hopefully now it should work. Let me do a quick recheck. Okay, there's no folder. Okay, I'll rerun this. Yeah, So now we are finished creating. Yeah, that was the issue. The service principal was not having access to this workspace. So now you should see the folder with name, a folder with secret key, right? Created at the. Okay. So I'll just comment this part and uncomment the second method. Okay. Now in this method, so basically we'll be creating a bearer token. So it will prompt for an browser-based authentication. So it's saying creating folder without secret key. Okay, so it's going to prompt for a browser-based authentication to create the bearer token, and we'll say yes. Hmm. Okay, finish creating the folder without secret key. Okay, let's do a quick check. Yep. So we have a folder with. Oh, what did I unmove? What did I move? Sorry, I think I by mistake moved the folder. While doing a refresh, I moved this folder into the folder with secret key. Anyways, so yeah, so as you can see that we created the folders through two different methods. One is using the default uh, data lake service client that uses the credential object, and second is the one with the custom class that is based on the bearer token through an browser based authentication. All right, so that's all for this walkthrough. Okay, if you do have any questions, please post them in the article and I'll be very glad to answer them. All right, okay, thank you very much.